Well, looks like Draco Tail isn't done yet. You guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. 1,600 duelists entered into the arena this weekend, and only one Jesse Cotton was able to walk away victorious, proving to us that the Draco Tail strategy is still very much intact and is doing wonderful things. Now, that doesn't mean that Branded was basically out of the picture, because Branded was the second place challenger, and of course the Draco Tail deck is playing branded cards, which gives you basically two branded decks within the top cut, just with different variations of numbers. Now, you also had two Cool Tune decks kind of bringing up the rear here, which is to be expected, right? Cool Tune was supposed to be the big menace of the weekend, and the deck did absolutely what it needed to do. It destroyed the competition. Now, we also had a Sky Striker player making top four, Raymond Dye, really putting in a lot of work and showcasing a lot of the power that this deck still has going for it. We also had Art Mage. Art Mage was a absolute monster this weekend. This deck was putting in overtime and showcasing, why Art Mage is now one of the best meta challengers that you can possibly have for today's, setting. We also did get to see the power of Doomsy. Doomsy worked in absolute overtime this weekend, and I think seeing Doomsy be the absolute powerhouse menace that we needed to for the meta really put this into perspective for players. We also got to see Mitsurugi as well. Mitsurugi's variations this weekend were quite interesting just to see, this deck is not dead. Players are evolving the concept of this, and it's doing absolutely amazing things. I mean, you have a stacked top cut here of players. You're getting to see so many recurring cast members that it's actually really crazy. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Winning the event this weekend was Jesse Cotton, actually kind of showcasing, the power that the hybrid build is able to do. I mean, you got some limitations in the deck now. Lucaeus is at 2, Malulu's at some shorter numbers than we really want to see, which is fine. You're still breaking down the Albast stuff, but, we got to see Super Polymerization being an absolute unit this weekend, just tearing through so much of the meta and just, doing work. Also, Illusion Gate and the Tactical Thrust. This was a very interesting combination of cards that you can actually use to board break pressure your opponent, which I actually kind of like this, honestly. It definitely put into perspective that Illusion Gate is actually a little bit more of a powerhouse card than a lot of people were really anticipating to see, and it is also a Monster Reborn and a, Raigeki all looped into one card. So that's why this card is phenomenal at what it does. Next up, we get to actually see the branded variation. Obviously, Gold Sarcophagus to Mercurier to start combo is really good, but this is also where you get to see, the tech choices of the meta start to show. We get to see the triple Forbidden Crown coming in and absolutely doing what it needs to do. Also do see we have Saronir and access into Magna Hut here. We did see the Magna Hut actually coming in to be a form of interruption as the meta kind of progressed, but this deck is just infinite value. Now, you also do see, at least with the pure variant, now you're bridging into the double Incredible Ecclesia play, because having access to the unaffected Towers monster, this card becomes one of the more important resources for you to work with in terms of the mirror match, which is kind of nice. Also, Nadir's Servant just being free advantage for this deck to be able to warp through, I do think is a very nice improvement, and actually helps out this deck's consistency a lot. Next up here, we get to see why the Sky Striker package is very good in this. Swen, Eldam, and the Chant. This little package, yeah, it stinks that Chant got limited, but that's fine. It just takes a combination of two monsters to combine their powers together to make Camellia. This was the same thing that we saw the ever so famous Yummy deck wanting to do an eternity ago. As long as you can get immediate pivotal access into the Sky Striker stuff, lining your graveyard with some very good cards, and it's actually going to help you get set up. Also, we have tech choices of Book of Eclipse in here to be able to kind of push through some of those boards, which is really nice. There's just a lot of good resource management here. You also do so we get access to the Limitless Gate for bouncing, but there's also no desires in here. Honestly, I think the Radiant Typhoon package showing a little bit more worth than what we're very used to seeing in a lot of these lists. So good evolution for sure. Next up, we get to see the Kewl tunes. Now, this deck has been, I think, the deck in the room that nobody wants to play against. You know, when you get into the Kewl tune matchup, it's just an absolute slog fest. And it's not very fun to deal with. And I get that. We are actually playing Delta, the Gamma, and the Driver in the main deck. There was a pretty interesting discussion to be had with the Psyframe stuff, whether or not, you know, you can cut them or choose to play them. It's really up to you. Also, triple Duelist Genesis in the main deck here. That's a little bit different than what a lot of, I feel like, the community was wanting to push for. I do appreciate, you know, because having access to this to pivot into Synchro Overtake is just a very, very critically important part of this deck to be able to go. Also, we have Triple Prohibition. That's very interesting. We also do see the reframing down here in the side deck. You know, you're getting to see a lot of those good tech choices doing their job. Next up, well, we actually have access into Mitsurugi for you today. Now, Mitsurugi, honestly, this deck is not in a bad position. I will say, though, it's kind of nice to see there's no of the new Dominus in here. You're actually just relying on Triple Impulse to kind of get the job done, but you're also playing the Radiant Typhoon package in this list to be able to net you some resources and kind of go. You've also got access into Crowns and Droplets to handle any sort of real situation that you're going to need. So this is it, people. Pure Mitsurugi is now a very real deck. I mean, now you just dedicate a slot into the Lamia. If the Lamia ends up getting hand-trapped, I mean, like, it's not the worst sort of situation you find yourself in. You know, you just kind of got to pivot your little play lines to, you know, better compensate for things. And also, Super Poly putting in literal overtime at breaking these boards right now. Sea Monster Theseus is literally everywhere. Oh, we have our other Kewl tune variant here. So this version chose to go with the more maximum route. This is where, you know, you slot in the Deltas and we go to town with this. Because honestly, Delta's not an incredibly terrible tech choice. You know, Delta's job is just to be able to get the field up and running, be able to smash through things, and, you know, congratulations, you've done what your deck needed to do. You know, you've turned off spells, and I mean, that's good. That's the level of, like, good control that you wanted to see with this. I also see we have the Gamma, we have the Driver. You have a lot of the standardized power output that you would kind of expect from this deck. We also do get to see all three triple Solemn Accusations in here. Absolutely putting the hurt on the opponent, actually making sure, you know, you're getting to those key cutoff points, and you're basically winning the game. Also, Prima Donna actually putting in a lot of cool work for this list. But, okay, I see you. I mean, Kewl Tunes wasn't exactly a scary deck, but interesting. Next up here, we get to see Power Patron Archmage. So this is actually just the evolution of going second now. You go with the triple board breakers. So good, man. Having access to the Book of Eclipse, the Dark Ruler No More, the Crown, and the Super Poly just to watch Archmage literally pummel through everything that the opponent has is so ridiculous. You also do get to see Shade the Obscure actually seeing play. Shade, I think, was one of the best cards that this deck could get access to, because you just run through so much of the power that the opponent is actually trying to put up on the field. Like, it's actually kind of nuts. But yes, we actually have a going second deck in the room. And obviously, you know, letting this deck be able to capitalize and letting it be able to actually get set up is going to cause you some internal problems within the games. You know, something that we've learned very, very heavily. And then, of course, we get to see Doomsy doing its thing. Actually, main decking the Shifter, we do have access to one Medius the Pure, which is pretty normal, I feel like, at this point for this deck. But we also do get to see something a little bit spicy down here. We get to see the Magical Midfield Breaker actually coming in, which is going to grant you some protection for, you know, your monsters, which is actually kind of nice. I don't feel like we talk enough about the advantages of powerhouse cards like this, but I think that this one is a very, very, very nice and challenging piece to the meta. But congratulations, you got to see a very, very interesting top cut, to say the least. But what do you guys think? Please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.